Okay, so if you're running an accounting firm, you know this feeling, right? Growth should feel like a victory, but instead, your team is just burning out. Today, we're going to break down how strategic offshore solutions can help you scale your firm without all that stress. I mean, this quote really says it all. You're supposed to be celebrating the growth, but when it just leads to exhaustion, that's a huge red flag that your operating model is broken. And that's the core problem we're digging into. So, what's going on here? It's this strange paradox that so many successful firms are dealing with. The revenue is climbing, which is great, but the pressure on your team is climbing right along with it. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, it's because the old ways of handling more work just aren't cutting it anymore. So let's be really clear, the problem isn't that you're growing. That's the whole point. The real issue is that your internal structure is starting to crack under the pressure. When partners are getting bogged down managing workloads instead of doing high-value client advisory, you're not just risking burnout, you are literally leaving money on the table. For decades, the playbook was pretty simple, right? More work comes in, you just hire more people. But in today's world, with the current talent market, that one simple solution has become a major roadblock to scaling your firm efficiently. Okay, so let's break down exactly why this old model is failing so spectacularly now. It's not just one thing, it's kind of a perfect storm of market forces that's turned traditional hiring from a growth solution into a growth bottleneck. The limitations are pretty clear when you lay them out. First off, just finding qualified talent feels like a constant battle. Second, salaries and benefits are just skyrocketing. Third, training people up takes a ton of time that you just don't have. And finally, you've got the seasonal nature of accounting, which creates this crazy cycle of being either overstaffed or understaffed. It's not sustainable. So, if the old way is broken, what's the fix? Well, this is where strategic outsourcing comes in. But listen, this isn't just about handing off a few random tasks. We're talking about a complete redesign of your firm's operational engine so that your capacity can actually match your demand perfectly. So, what does this actually look like in practice? I mean, that's the big question, right? This is where it gets really interesting. Let's explore 4 concrete ways that firms are using this exact model to streamline their operations and finally break that awful cycle of burnout. Let's start with something like inventory reconciliation. I know, it sounds pretty routine, but we both know that this is where small manual errors and those last-minute scrambles can create massive headaches, risking inaccurate financials and, incredibly stressful audits. But the transformation here is really powerful. When you outsource this, it turns a reactive, stressful process into one that's proactive and totally reliable. Discrepancies get caught early, your financial statements are cleaner, and frankly, audit season becomes a whole lot less painful for absolutely everyone involved. Okay, next up, let's talk about the black hole of productivity that is tax documentation. It's essential work, of course, but it just buries your senior staff in administrative tasks when their expertise is desperately needed for high-level strategy. So, outsourcing this bottleneck, it does so much more than just clear a desk. It actually accelerates your entire tax prep cycle. By standardizing the whole process, you free up your internal team to focus on what you're actually paying them for: high-level review and client strategy, not just chasing down paperwork. Third, let's talk about people. Instead of that endless, draining cycle of hiring, try thinking about offshore staffing as building a dedicated extension of your own team. And I really want to stress this. These aren't just temporary contractors. They are integrated professionals who are trained on your processes, working as a seamless part of your firm. The key benefit here is just pure flexibility. You can scale your workforce way up for tax season and then scale right back down, all while controlling costs without those long-term commitments. This directly combats burnout by protecting your core in-house team from those crushing, unsustainable workloads. And finally, let's get to the highest value work, the advisory services. Your clients are demanding proactive tax planning, but most firms are so buried in compliance work that they just can't deliver it. And this isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a real threat to client retention. This is where an offshore team can be a total game changer. They handle the heavy lifting, all the research, the modeling, the analysis. This frees up your senior CPAs to focus on what they do best, developing strategy and strengthening those crucial client relationships. That is how you make advisory services truly scalable. Now, this brings us to the biggest fear that always comes up with outsourcing: losing control. It's a valid concern for sure, but What if the exact opposite were true? What if outsourcing could actually increase your control? This quote right here completely flips the script on that control issue. The reality is, when you do outsourcing the right way, it forces you to build better systems. It compels you to replace those informal, we've always done it this way processes with structured, predictable workflows. I mean, just think about what's required. You have to document workflows, define responsibilities, and structure your review process. These aren't just things you do for outsourcing. They're the building blocks of any highly efficient firm. You're not losing control, you are engineering it. And this right here shows that new partnership model in action. You let technology and an offshore team handle the speed and the automation. Your firm, meanwhile, retains full authority over client relationships, the final review, and compliance. It's really a powerful combination of efficiency and oversight. And here's the fundamental mindset shift. The most successful firms, they aren't doing everything themselves. They're building the smartest systems to empower their people to focus on their highest value work. And that's really the question to leave you with. As you plan for what's next, just ask yourself, is your firm built to do everything, or is it built to do its best work? Because that choice is going to define your future.